your read.
Well, that was the read. I just want to tell people to like and subscribe. We had all our reads in today. So we're going to combine the two running back segments.
Mike, so we'll get to the trade in a second. But let me just say this. Nick Chubb better not get hurt. Because even though running backs are sometimes treated as a dime a dozen, Nick Chubb is not a dime a dozen. Mm-hmm. He's very important to this team. And in your 32 and 32, he's number
8. He's number 8.
I think you guys dropped the ball having Nick Chubb 8. I mean,
I think in hindsight,
poor.
I disagree with my own rankings on this one.
I had him at 8.
Who had him? I'm not even. I can't. Man, me and Anthony tell Mike all the time. This list was like, I don't know who's where on the list. I don't know where I had Nick Chubb or anything like this. But while they're going through that, I will say this: me and Mike did have a conversation this morning, and to me, the fact that you traded for a running back. It spells out a lot of different things. I agree, first and foremost. Nick Chubb cannot get hurt. Nick Chubb gets hurt is different. I remember he echoed what you just said when he was on the Pivot podcast, and he talked about that a lot of people has this assumption that anybody can come in and just do what I do. And he said that's exactly why I work so hard to always separate myself. But we've heard all this noise about Jerome Ford. They love Jerome Ford. They believe Jerome Ford is this guy, this, that, and the third. You suffered a soft tissue injury that pretty much kept you out the entire camp, all the preseason, and I highly doubt that you'll be ready for week 1. And I told him, when you got those hamstring issues, those soft tissue issues, that's something that's probably going to linger for the entire season. The Browns definitely had to go out there and get another running back. We all know Demetric Felton ain't it. Yeah. John Kelly ain't it. Mm-mm. And to be totally honest with you, Pierre Strong, that's a nice little trade because they needed offensive line depth. You needed running back depth. But I'm still not sure they're not even done shopping for
I don't think they're necessarily done there either. Pierre Strong, as a rookie last year, was drafted before Jerome Ford. He did have 10 carries for 100 yards, which is obviously very impressive. But it was only 10 carries. He didn't play much. Mike, what's the breakdown, the three of you, on Nick Chubb?
I had him at 9. Those two had him at 8. And I think I'm wrong. In my
you know where I have Nick Chubb on my list?
Probably 2.
No, not that high.
Oh, listen.
5. I got him at 5.
You know
I just told Anthony I would put him at 6. In my recalculations, I think he should be 6.
Now, McNuggets, I have him at 2.
You have him at 2. I have Myles Garrett.
I have him at 2.
Wow.
And the reason I got him at 2 is I've been doing the research on it, and you guys can let me know if I'm wrong. But in the last 30 or 40 years, I cannot think of, I would just say 30. So just go since 99. I can't think of an elite quarterback, top 5 type talent quarterback with a top 5 running back.
I'll give you one.
What's that?
Rams. Just before that, the Rams.
Rams.
Peyton Manning had Edgerrin James.
Peyton Manning had Marshall Faulk too, didn't he? Or was Faulk gone by then?
No, he had Edgerrin James at that time.
Edgerrin James was...
Edgerrin James was a beast.
He was.
Don't you do that?
But I'm just saying, trying to say, is he a top?
At that time, he was probably top 2 or 3.
So, I mean, Roethlisberger had Bettis.
Yeah, he did.
At the end of his
career.
And
Le'Veon Bell.
But I think this will be controversial. And the people that were hating me will like me on this one, though. I think that Deshaun Watson I saw in Houston is a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. He hasn't proven anything when it matters, but I think he's a better quarterback. And Nick Chubb is definitely better than Jerome Bettis. Is he in the Hall of Fame, Jerome Bettis? I can't remember.
He is in the Hall of Fame already.
But I would take Nick Chubb over Jerome Bettis any day of the week.
And I would take him over Edgerrin James.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is the dynamic, if you got 2 of those guys, now it changes things, because we talked about with Nick Chubb, people think they can come in and do what I can do. No. You got a guy that's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Yeah. And now you got a quarterback who you can't just afford to just leave out here. Like, he can make the throws. So now the offense is different. Now it's like, pick your poison. And I don't think that when you look at defenses out there, defenses are equipped to do one thing. Defenses now are equipped to have a pass rusher and corners to stop the passing game. You can't do both at once. You cannot stop the run and stop the pass at the same time. So if you want to stop the pass, Nick Chubb's going to get you 6 yards running the ball downhill against corners, safeties, and small linebackers.
And he makes the first man miss more than any running back we've seen, even more than Derrick Henry, which is hard to believe because Derrick Henry's probably got him like 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I've been using G's expression a lot. There's levels to this, right? You
Very.
talk about not anybody can do it, right? Like, a guy can do it for one game. Like, I can bring in some slappy running back, and he might be able to do what Nick Chubb do for one game, but he can't do it consistently over a season. Nick Chubb's not great for 17 games. There's going to be some games he doesn't have a good game, or they're behind and, they can't get to him, whatever. But consistently, 95% of the time, Nick Chubb's going to play great. These other backs who do it once in a while, they can't do that if they played every week. That's it. It's just like with a backup quarterback. Like, I can trust Jacoby Brissett or what's his name, Ryan Fitzpatrick. A couple of weeks, okay, we can go with those guys. But I don't want them my quarterback for 17 weeks because I know they're not good enough to be good for 17 weeks. That's it. Nick Chubb brings another level to this offense that nobody else on this team is close to, right? You're right. He should be even higher than 5 but we're so used to saying running back doesn't matter. On this team, it does. Obviously, it doesn't matter more than Deshaun Watson.
Right.
That would be a bigger loss. But Nick Chubb, I would say, might even be a bigger loss than Myles Garrett, which is insane. But because the only reason I say that is because the Browns' D-line is good without Myles Garrett.
Right.
I think it will be good. It should be good without Myles Garrett. Not elite like it can be with Myles Garrett, but still good. Their running back group is nothing. Besides, it's all Nick Chubb.
No,
the rest of the guys are nothing.
Listen, and it's funny because you set it up, not to go back to the running back conversation we had about the value of the running back position, but this is why I love the comments that Andrew Berry made at the beginning of training camp when he talked about evaluating that position. He says, man, listen, you can't evaluate the running back position as a whole. You need to go situation by situation,
That's true.
team to team, because some teams like the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers, you got guys that can make a huge difference in the outcome of your game. These are not just your everyday running backs. And like Nick Chubb said, I put in the work to separate myself, right? And I've told you all this on this set before. Growing up for me, I'm 35 years old. And growing up early 2000s, Adrian Peterson was that dude. LaDainian Tomlinson was that dude. And we progress here to 2023, and we talk about the running back position not holding the same value. And I always ask myself the same question when evaluating Nick Chubb. When I look at Nick Chubb, do I see a guy with Adrian Peterson's potential and can possibly get to that level? Do I see a guy that got...
I think he's already at that level.
Do I see a guy with LaDainian Tomlinson potential and can get to that level? And every single time I tell myself yes. And that's why I've always viewed Nick Chubb's situation at running back different than any other back in the league. I don't care about what the market is for every other running back. Tell me what the market is for Nick Chubb, number 24 for the Cleveland Browns. Because his situation is totally different from Nate's situation. You cannot box him in with everybody else when he constantly shows you he stands out.
And he said on the Pivot podcast, he said 2 high safeties. He said when Deshaun is in, I'm seeing 2 high safeties because Deshaun Watson has the ability to take the top off the defense. So now you've got to play 2 high safety. And Nick Chubb says, I've never seen 2 high safeties in my life. It's just me. And like you said, he's been one of the most elusive backs. Not only the yards per carry, he makes people miss the most. He's elusive. He can run over you. He can run around you. He can catch the ball. He makes cuts that people don't normally see. And it's not just Nick Chubb. It's the combination of Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson that could be lethal because now you telling me, well, now you want to load the box? Well, I got Amari Cooper out here, and you can't cover him one-on-one.
No.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Nick Chubb is number 1 at breaking tackles, number 1 at yards after contact, and number 1 in fourth down production. I mean, those are the most important things.
You know what else he said in that podcast, man? He says, man, the goal is to take a team soul. He said, man, you beat a team down. You physically beat a team down by running the ball at them time in and time out. And it's like, this dude shows you, man, that he can take your soul. He seems to always make the right decisions on the football field, minus the Jets game, which he admitted to. But more often than not, he makes the right decisions on the football field and off the football field. Nick Chubb's importance to this team is like, to me, it's almost second to none. We talk a lot about Myles Garrett. We talk a lot about Deshaun Watson, man. But football is won and lost in the trenches. And I do know enough to know that when it get cold outside and that football is is rock hard, you would prefer to turn around and be able to hand it off to
that
a
was
guy
pause.
that you can depend on.
That was crazy.
You know what I mean?
You said rock. You threw rock in front of it.
I threw rock hard in front of it.
Oh my gosh, that was
Jeez.
wow. I had to
Earl,
take my hat off.
This is a PG show, buddy.
Yeah, my
calm
bad.
down here.
Major
Super.
pause.
Earl's cursing all the time. He's out of control.
Significant
So to
pause.
improve the running back room over the weekend,
Yeah.
the Browns traded Tyrone Wheatley to New England
Yeah.
in exchange for Pierre Strong. The Browns also just waived Michael Dunn, by the way.
They
Just
did
came
waive
over-
Michael Dunn.
They
That's
waived Michael
interesting.
Dunn.
Did you hear that? The Browns just waived Michael
So
Dunn.
they kept Forbes.
It
I guess
sounds like
so.
Forbes beat out Michael Dunn here. That's from Tom Pelissero and has been confirmed by Mary Kay Cabot. But back to the Pierre Strong
By the way,
trade.
I tweeted this yesterday before the Pierre Strong trade, and I still feel this way.
Kenyon Drake.
I think the Browns should go sign Kenyon Drake. All right? I know he's older, but he was still an effective back for the Ravens last year.
I like
He's
it.
played in the AFC North. He can catch passes.
I like.
I
it.
liked bringing in what I got to pay him? Just over the minimum? $1 million?
I like Kenyon Drake. He can return.
I mean,
a couple,
4.5 yards per carry for a career is pretty darn good. For a guy who's been around a while.
He can return some kicks for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's a flexible player. He's been on good teams. He's been in the AFC North. If I'm the Browns, I'm interested in this guy.
If I got a backfield of him, as well as Pierre Strong, now I like Pierre Strong.
Yeah, I know Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
If Nick Chubb has to sit a series, I know he can get me some first downs.
I like that. Yeah. To me, right now, we was looking at it with Kelly and Demetric Felton. That wasn't getting it done.
No.
And the Browns knew that immediately. They brought the other dude in. He dropped the ball on a handoff. Wilkins, he dropped the rock twice. He got to go. So they need to me, we need 2 more backs.
I know you saw my poll. They had Deshaun Watson as the. I put a poll up on Twitter.
This was crazy.
And I said, who do you think will be the Cleveland Browns' second leading rusher? And I think the options was Jerome Ford, Deshaun Watson, Elijah Moore, and other.
I mean, anybody that would vote for Elijah, Deshaun Watson could be the second leading rusher. If you vote for Elijah Moore, you're insane. What's he going to have, 150 yards?
Yeah, maybe.
It was like 15% of the people voted for Elijah Moore.
That's insane. Has he ever run? How much has he run the ball in his career? I do think Percy Harvin once was second on Seattle in rushing.
And you see where,
But then, it was one time.
and you see where he ended up at. He too small.
Or
to be
maybe it was,
running
no,
around.
it wasn't him. Debo finished second in
Was it
rushing.
Debo?
Not last year. He was third last year. But I think 2 years ago he was second. But that's pretty unique. The odds of a wide receiver finishing second. I know the Browns don't have a clear second back, but I would still bet on Watson having more yards rushing than Elijah Moore.
Yeah, right. Let's not act like he's
let's
gonna
not
be
get
taking
crazy.
Yeah, he's not gonna be taking snaps, bro.
We're not running him up the middle.
It was
all the
definitely
time.
interesting
Wildcat,
to see.
no.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how people would vote on that. I mean, you look at
Deshaun
Elijah
got the
Moore.
most votes, you said?
Deshaun Watson was like 47%. But you look at Elijah Moore, and I think Percy Harvin, Debo Samuels. That's what the vision is. But I was kind of shocked.
Debo
But
kind of
those guys were proven players before they started
I was
doing
kind of
that.
shocked. If I didn't vote, but if I had to vote myself, I would say it's going to be Deshaun Watson.
As of now, if they signed a Kenyon Drake, I would say Kenyon Drake.
Well, they did trade for Pierre Strong. Do you think
Yeah,
Pierre
but Pierre
Strong?
Strong, I don't know that he can play. He's at 10 NFL carries.
Do you think he could be?
Oh, I like him.
running back 2 over Jerome Ford.
He could
I think
be,
he's running back 3.
but as of today, I would bet on Deshaun Watson being the second leading
Mike, I think he's running back 3. Like, let's say Jerome Ford, for whatever reason, misses an extended period of time. I just don't believe that this dude is still running back 2. I think that the running back 2, without Jerome Ford being healthy, isn't on his team. I really think Demetric Felton and John Kelly are both gone, if I'm being totally honest with you. So,
they're probably.
so
I don't even know that Pierre Strong is 100% guaranteed to be on the team. They traded a guy they were probably going to cut anyway.
so, like,
I think he's going to be on the team, but I don't think it's 100%.
I just think he's a
gonna
running
play.
back 3. I think he's a guy. He's a guy.
Potential.
I like him. I like his speed. He plays special teams. He has a little bit of vision. He was rated higher coming out of college than Jerome Ford.
That's right. He got drafted high.
He was drafted higher, too.
So, to me, this guy, when you make a trade for a guy like Wheatley, who the Browns love linemen, that signals to me they're going to play this guy. And he played for Belichick, so that you automatically get another star, even if you're garbage. You play for Belichick,
That's true.
we're going to play you.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Mike, anything else before we say goodbye here?